everybody, welcome back to another episode of 5 Minute Gaming News, the show that may or may not be about EA. Today in the news, if you're interested in a remake of Dead Space 2 and 3, now is the time to make your voice heard. Literally, EA is asking if you genuinely want it. According to Gloomwood developer Dylan Roger, they received a survey from EA stating, how interested would you be in a similar remake of Dead Space 2? And subsequently, the same question regarding 3, with multiple answers ranging from not at all interested to extremely interested. EA Motive's Dead Space remake currently holds an 89 Metascore on Metacritic, and even took the #1 spot on the UK's physical sales chart. Plus, I loved it, so, you'd think the writing would be on the wall, considering that that's half of the game is writing on the wall, but people want more, clearly. So, if EA is watching, which I know you are, if EA is watching, yes, we would love more Dead Space. If you want to remake 3, great. Maybe less people will crap on the game now. If you want to remake 2, it's a phenomenal game, but hell, we'll take it. The only question I have, and it's one that I posed to all of you a few weeks back, just because a team can remake a game faithfully, does that mean they can make other games in the exact same way? Or new games, or new iterations of games, maybe changing things up here and there. How much is it that Game of Thrones vibe? You know what I mean? Where for a while it's good, and then it goes off the rails. And I pose it once again to you. What do you think? Is it possible? Should they mess with this? If anything, we're not going to see another Dead Space for a while. I know right now that Motive is working, I think, on an Iron Man thing with Marvel, so we're still years away. But something to think about. Speaking of EA, this is the EA I remember. On Tuesday morning, over 200 QA testers at EA's Baton Rouge office in Louisiana were suddenly laid off during a surprise 8 a.m. Zoom call. This is, of course, sadly another addition to the non-stop layoffs that have been occurring across the industry for the last 6 or so months. And as it happened, several current and former employees took to Twitter explaining the whole mess. One user, who goes by TopMarks420, shared a thread. EA just fired its entire Baton Rouge studio, which is essentially their entire Apex Legends QA staff. And according to GameSpot, EA is reportedly offering 60 days of severance pay, though this is allegedly far less time than most employees still had on their employment contracts. These layoffs come just weeks after EA announced they would be sunsetting Apex Legends Mobile and the cancellation of their in-development single-player game set in the Titanfall and Apex Legends universe. Which is still heartbreaking, and I'm still upset that we're not going to get more Titanfall, but I'm also equally upset about how QA workers just in general treated like shit in this industry. Their job is to play your game inside and out, to find all the glitches and the bugs and the problems and anything that could go wrong before launch, and I think at some point, and I'm pretty sure we can all agree on this, at some point, a lot of the AAA game devs just figured, A, we'll outsource it in like a beta to players, or B, F it, we'll just launch it and fix it in post. It's really starting to feel like that for a lot of games. Like, just one example, 2022 Saints Row, the new one that came out, was such a buggy mess that, like, this could happen in the ending. And I loved the original Saints Row, and it's so sad that that one just wasn't good. And QA testers are sort of the backbone of making sure the good gets to us. And yet they are forced to work under strenuous, insane conditions and, like, run to the same wall 50 times. Like, just spend hours and hours and hours doing that, and they're still treated like garbage. It blows my mind. Ash Myers, a QA tester, shared this experience in an interview with Vice. Low pay, forced overtime, little to no transparency with departmental changes and return to office. But there is hope. Both ZeniMax and Raven Software now have unions formed by their QA staff in order to advocate for equity and change in the games industry. Hopefully, more studios will pursue that, so crazy layoffs like this with EA won't just ruin people's livelihoods, and they'll have someone there in their corner. That's the whole point of a union. But that's it for another episode of 5 Minute Gaming News. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for the like you're about to click. And I will see you tomorrow for another episode.